Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the SOK Podcast. This is Pilot. I'll be the host for today's podcast, and I have with me today...
I am still the Toa of Forests.
And I'm still Toa Levoris.
Awesome. We are all still ourselves, clearly, which is great. Yes. But anyways... So today we're going to be covering another one of the DuckBricks Fanon Contests. In one of our previous podcast episodes, we did the 2 Contest, which I believe was the first DuckBricks Fanon Contest, if I remember right. And now we're going to be covering the second one, which is for the Dinosaurs of Bota Magna. Now this one is kind of interesting because unlike 2 which is sort of about depicting a specific character in Bionicle canon, the dinosaur contest is kind of more of a freeform contest based on kind of a concept that got briefly introduced in Bionicle lore of dinosaurs who kind of roamed the jungle moon of Bota Magna. And I believe at one point, they did have like plans to like make, dinosaur sets. And, in one of, like, the years of Bionicle that got canceled, Motonui and some of the other characters from 09 would travel to Bota Magna, perhaps meet some of these dinosaurs. So, yeah, that's kind of the premise for the contest. And in today's podcast, we'll be kind of going over some of our favorite entries from the contest, as well as the winners. And, yeah. So, another thing about this contest is that, it was kind of a different structure in that there were 2 winners. They had a small category for kind of smaller size dinosaur mocks. Then they also have a large category for larger mocks. And so because of that, we're going to have 2 different winning entries we're going to go over. The first one is, let's see, we have like a doc open here with like all of the entries listed here. I believe it is entry 60, which was the winner of the small category, which is the Hardshell Raptor by Bonkle Chaser. So maybe we want to give some of our thoughts on that.
I like the color scheme. Yellow is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
From my opinion, I actually like the shape. It's got quite a lot. I like the use of the like Carapace like armor plate on it. Something else I really like a lot is like the flat tile piece uses the eye. Like I don't recall where the eye is from, but that's pretty cool. Adds this nice I want to say personality to it without it distracting too much from the shape. Like if you just put like an orb there or something like a ball joint eye, it would be really weird. But I think the tile suits it really well. It is interesting to see that it's got like some gears as well in its mouth, probably to represent some form of like teeth. But being a robotic dinosaur, I can very much see it as more like them like grinders, so like they fold in on each other.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably how it can like process food really well. I think that's cool.
Yeah, about those gears, I think that's part of the reason why I like this one. Because it doesn't just look like a normal dinosaur. It looks like a bionicle dinosaur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's kind of one of the, like, another kind of, like, central thing of, like, the premise of, like, the whole dinosaurs on Bota Magna wasn't just that, like, they're normal dinosaurs, but that they're biomechanical dinosaurs in the same way that, like, other beings in the Bionicle universe are. So I think this entry did, like, a good job of kind of representing that by having, like, very like organic shapes with like the Carapace shells and combining that with like those gears kind of like under the hood to create a very like, like a bionicle dinosaur look.
Yeah, he's also got some gears on his shoulder to kind of help give it the more mechanical look around as well. And something that isn't as visible from maybe afar, but if you zoom in and you notice, you can see the transparent Borak eyes used in areas to help add to the kind of like same visual style language to the Carapace shells.
Yeah.
I like that quite a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, bonus points for making something yellow. And like brown.
Yeah, I feel like yellow isn't a very like common color seen used on Bionicle mocks, especially like in this like quantity here, Yeah, like I feel like whenever I see those like Carapace shells being used, it's always like the blue ones, you know?
Yeah, the ones from Nocturne.
Yeah, well, those, but also like that specific piece has a like a version in like Metro Blue, or not Metro Blue, Mata Blue.
Oh yeah, from that
seen
one
that being used
Hero
before.
Factory set, I think it was. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I feel like that piece is like a lot more commonly used, just because like blue is a very like common color.
Ironically, the Carapace shells in brown are the more common ones.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I think the reason why these get used less, the Carapar ones, is because, you know, they have that very like specific color pattern to them, and yeah.
Yeah, it can be quite
I guess like that would make it
that
bit
fits, yeah.
Yeah, like it's harder to like incorporate it. So yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so I think this one is definitely like deserving of like the winner title for that reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and speaking of the winners too, there were like a number of like different prizes for this contest, if I remember right. Like one for the small category and then one for the large category.
Mm-hmm.
I forget which was which, but like similar to the last contest with Tuyet, they had another one of those cool like 3D printed masks with like the melded colors on them. So like one of them was like an elite Skrull warrior mask, and then they also had like a cool like Gelu helmet that was like a melded color too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right, should we move on to the next winning one then?
Yeah, so this one is really cool, I think. I think out of like the two winners, if I'm being completely honest, this one is kind of like the like my favorite, at least personally.
Yeah, so the winning one, this is for the large category, was the Nui Nemes by Lament. I want to say that's how that name is. There's too many T's. So
yeah.
yeah, so this is entry 95 on the dock, but obviously the most impressive feature about this is the fact that they have this massive we had to look it up, didn't we? It was like a Vakama Hordika mask, voice changing mask, and that's what they've used on the back of this thing as its shell, and that's just really cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like almost like a prehistoric like turtle type of thing. And yeah. Like that like parts usage, like I mean it isn't even like a part technically. But like the fact that we're able to like incorporate that like into a build is like so cool to me.
Yeah. I would say it's probably more of a beetle than a turtle.
Maybe, yeah.
But,
I mean, I kind of imagine the voice changer mask being kind of like a shell, I guess.
It is definitely more of a shell kind of thing. But
yeah.
Then again, if it's supposed to be a dinosaur, turtle would work a bit more. Probably, working a bit more like an ankylosaur, because they're like got them shells and stuff. And but this is really cool.
Honestly, the only improvement I can think of is they should have built a small one using the regular Vakama Hordika mask.
Have like a little baby.
Oh yeah, like a mini one. Yeah.
Well, it has actually got Hordika masks on its legs. Like it's got like the normal size one, so you can kind of tell like the size difference between those two parts.
Yeah. Yeah, like this one could be like the Nui Nimbus, right? So it's like the big one, and then they could have like a regular Nimbus. That's like the tiny one, like the miniature version.
Yeah.
The one that eats your apples, and then this one eats your fucking cow. It's just like eats your dog or something. It's like, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could kind of see like a Toa or like Latorian like riding on one of these too.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Definitely like some kind of like
kind of
carriage.
Cool.
Kind of. So it's
a
bit like the scorpions from Clash of the Titans, like the big ones, like just riding on the back. Yeah, something I like about this one a lot as well is the eyes. The eyes are very interestingly how they were done, because they're using like the reverse smooth tile plugged onto a massive gear, which in turn has been set onto the Ratuka spinner of a Visorak shell, which it's quite complex in like the layout, but it's at the same time very like. For such a big mock, there's actually, I want to say, like around the head area specifically, there's very little amount of parts that are visible, because they've used very big shell parts to cover up the area really well.
Yeah.
They've also done something similar with like the interior of the body, is they've got like those long Technic like panels in black. Those are also covering up areas as well. So like. something that's very nice about this is like basically the interior of the head construction, interior body construction. You can look at it as much as you want, and you probably won't figure out how it's been done just because you can't see anything in there.
Yeah. Like, one thing I do wonder is, like, how they attached the voice changer mask, you know?
Super glue.
Maybe. I don't know, like rubber bands or something. I'd be curious to kind of know that, how that was done.
But either way, it's still really impressive. They were able to do
definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's also got a functional mouth, I can tell, by using, like, what's it, like, skirmix head? I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got, like, the underside of that. It's just like little jaw plate. It looks so happy when you focus on just his face.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it looks like it kind of just like roams around like a Bota Magna, like eating like plants and stuff. You know.
It's that was really happy that it's finally found something organic to chew on being you. So you better start running more.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that's something I really like about this contest is like, you know, you can kind of like look at all of the different like dinosaurs that people have like created, and you can kind of just like imagine like where and like how they would fit into like the world of Bionicle, and I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think like, are there any more thoughts you guys want to add on the like the winning entries, like both the Nui Nimbus and the Hardshell Raptor?
I would like to see them play a side-by-side comparison. I know that they're not the same creator, but it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I believe
seeing them next to each other would be pretty cool.
I know DuckBricks has, you know, been working on like, you know, recreating these mocks, like not just the winning entries, but there's also several of like the other like entries on here too that DuckBricks has been working on recreating and doing reviews for. So yeah, like we might actually get like a chance to, you know, see some of these like kind of be like
side
compared against each other and stuff.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, he probably has like made some videos for it already probably.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a review up for the Hardshell Raptor at least. I don't know if he's done one for the Nui Nimbus yet. I imagine he's probably planning to.
Yeah,
he probably has already. Granted that we're you know, like moving on to like what is it, like the Red Star Zombies contest now?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we're recording this kind of late in case you can't tell. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you guys you know, don't have anything else to share about the winning entries, I think we can move on to some of our personal favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Would one of you guys like to maybe share one of yours?
Yeah.
Go first.
So, the one that I chose as my favorite, it's kinda different. I don't even know if you could technically classify it as a Bionicle mock, because it's mostly made out of system parts. But it's entry number 2, it's called Compsognathus the Small. I have no idea how you pronounce that, but it's by Sinova. And yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I like that they went on that they took a different approach. Instead of making like a raptor or whatever, they built like the smallest of dinosaurs, like those that you seen.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of them, but it reminds me of those little small insect-eating ones from Jurassic Park. The ones that are like at most about a foot tall, if that, because they're like really small. But this is a really cool one. It's like, because of it being made out of like system parts, if I were to build that and put it next to one of my mocks, it would literally look at the same scale, and I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like
make like a little army of them.
I really like the parts usage. I think those are like Hero Factory Invasion from Below minifigure arms, and I think that head is a Super Battle Droid arm from Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a Super Battle Droid cannon arm.
Yeah.
It's I really like the way that they kind of like had a look at how the inverse side of the arm kind of looks, how they looked at all these little Hero Factory arm kind of looks, and they chose the bone like tail kind of thing to use as a tail because it kind of shares the same language with it also having like hollowed out sections. But yeah, and then the arms are just brilliant, just being like the little like Exoforce arm graspers. It's just been plugged on.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, one thing I want to point out too is like the color like usage on this, because you know it's like primarily tan, right? But then you also have these little bits of like silver and black mixed in, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of meant to convey like little mechanical sections on the dinosaur, right?
Yeah, like
which
gears.
You know again plays into the whole biomechanical dinosaur theme of the contest. Which, yeah, like, I think that's a really, like, you know, clever and subtle way of including that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think then we'll move on to the one I chose. The one I chose was entry number 20, the Lumbering Planintanis by Bionicle Fanon. So for the large category, it's like a really big-ass brontosaur.
Yeah.
But something I like quite a lot is the parts usage of like the Hero Factory shells and the different basically having two like groups of limbs to kind of create the more oval kind of shape you would get out of a neck. I really like that, and then I like how once it feeds into the body, it kind of almost separates into two because the creature does have two tails.
Yeah,
and those share the same like construction method, but they are separate this time instead of being united. And then I like how it's got foliage. It's got like trees and stuff growing on it as well. I think that's just really kind of cool. Like I definitely see like this is something that's kind of like evolved to like blend into the environment just so that it can peacefully eat without other stuff trying to come and kill it.
Yeah, I think kind of the idea for this is like kind of it's almost like a walking like forest in a way, right? Like you can kind of see like other animals like like you can kind of see like other animals kind of like you know like living like on top of it and like you know like living like together like symbiotically and stuff.
Yeah, I like the fact that it looks like a banana and has bananas growing out of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I want to point out too is like this is actually one of the mocks I know that DuckBricks has recreated physically, and I'm pretty sure the creator of this too also has like a physical model of this, which I think is really cool because like, you know, looking at it here, like you have that like huge neck and like the tail and stuff, and like, you know, I think it'd be kind of easy to like assume that this wouldn't like hold up super well like physically, like stability wise. Yeah. But yeah, like you can tell like a lot of thought like really went into this because it actually is like pretty sturdy like in real life from what I've seen and understand.
With the amount of friction stoppers on the neck, I would assume so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool. I think like if I had the instructions and the parts, I would probably make this, but I don't, so I'm probably not gonna make it.
Yeah. I mean, I like just saying, Levo, like if you want to recreate like any of these, right? Like I'm pretty sure like most of the entries in these contests have like breakdown photos or like something, right? Like I think that's part of the requirements for the contest is that you need to have breakdown photos. So yeah, like it might be possible for you to recreate it if you wanted to.
It might be possible, but I think I need to spend my efforts on making some of my own. I need to make my own dinosaurs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very impressive entry. I'm pretty sure this was one of like the finalists too, if I remember right. Yeah, and then I guess I'll share one of my favorites. It is all the way down at the bottom of the entry list, entry 113, the Euxiosaurus Rex by Mock Hub. This mock I think is very cool because like it leans very heavily into the more like mechanical aspect of the dinosaur contest. It has these like pistons that like connect back to the legs and like all this like metal like you know ingrained in its body, and I think that's like a very cool look to have. And like speaking of those pistons, like I just like love how those were like implemented like so like seamlessly into the body, you know. It's like I think a lot of times like when those piston pieces get used, like at least like on sets and stuff, like they always kind of like stuck out a lot. And like not only does it kind of fit with like the theming here, but it also, you know, just like incorporates like so fluidly into like the structure of the body of this creature. And yeah.
I like its arms. Its arms
Yeah. I was just about to say that.
Such a big menacing creature, and it's got like little tiddly arms.
It does, yeah.
Like its arms was probably small enough to put the T-Rex to shame.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has like those big feet too. Like I could imagine like, you know, like say like, you know, like in like you know how they had like that year where like the 09 crew would like wind up on Bota Magna, right? Mm-hmm. Like I could just like imagine them like arriving on Bota Magna and seeing like a giant like footprint from this thing and being like, where did that come from? You know? And yeah, it's just like this big menacing creature.
This thing fighting something else, yeah.
Yeah.
So something else I like quite a lot is if you look around it, there's quite a lot of gold bars, and those have probably been put there to represent like smaller pistons.
Mm-hmm. I could see that, yeah.
You know, you've got a couple on his feet, he's got a couple on like the joint between his legs and his body, he's got a couple running along his spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spine thing too is also a cool idea. There's a lot of dinosaurs on here that like have spines. At least like there's quite a few of them, and like they all like, you know, incorporate like parts in really interesting ways to like create them. Mm-hmm. Like whether that's with like wing pieces or like, you know, whatever.
Something else I'd like to point out with this one, which is quite interesting, is the use of Inika torsos, like as his like shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me curious about like what kind of like articulation this thing might have. Because like obviously like the Inika torsos have like ball joints in them, right? Mm. So I'm kind of curious like how this thing like might be able to like move around and stuff. Like what kind of poses you could get it in.
Those are all favourites. Are there any other ones you might want to mention? Because I've got another two here I wouldn't mind talking about a bit.
I mean, sure, go ahead.
Alright, so if you scroll up a tad bit to entry 112 and 111, because they are different entries, but they are somewhat similar. Except one of them's obviously a drawing, like an artwork. You've got like a Toa-sized character in it, and it shows like the size, and I think that's pretty neat. But the one above it is a bit more system-based, but it's quite interesting, like the idea of this mechanical dinosaur having like a radar station on its back.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
It's also Cyclops, because if you notice, it's got like a single bar across its face as an eye.
Oh, yeah.
Also pretty cool. It's got a little saw blade at its tail end. But I really like the shape that they managed to convey with the system parts on that one. It's very smooth for what it is. And then the artwork for the one underneath it, I really like a lot, just because I really like the artwork entries. They've always been cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, one thing I want to point out about like this artwork here is like in the background, like kind of on like the left side, I think that's like the GSR, like something like laying on like Aqua Magna or something. Like I don't know like what that is, but it looks like some like big humanoid body.
It probably is. Like you can kind of like basically at that distance you would basically be able to discern the difference between the water and the metal.
Yeah.
So like
yeah, like you guys can kind of see that, right?
Yeah.
What I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
and I also like with the artwork how they've like it's very obviously like, you know, artwork, but like they incorporate like pieces and stuff like into it, like the armoring and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at the GSR laying on Aqua Magna, and you can see Matanui and Boyanui on it, so yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like the little like green parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another entry.
Another one? Go on, because I don't remember its number, so I need to find it.
Yeah, another entry I want to talk about is number 108, the Botagona by Yekdersnek. I just really like it, mainly because it kind of looks like if Gresh was a dinosaur. You know,
its arms put the other one to shame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It just has like nubs, like almost.
But yeah, I really like that head design.
I like that
cool.
too.
I think it uses some pieces from Lego Chima.
Yeah, I think it's got like the snake piece from Lego Chima at the top, and then the bottom piece is from like Lego Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has one of those like Gresh Stars armor pieces too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I like the tail too. Like I can kind of see that, like, you know, it's almost kind of like a barbed tail, and I can almost see it using it as like a weapon to like defend itself.
Yeah. All right. The other one I was going to talk about is number 101. It's called Entry. By
has no name, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like some kind of like winged creature. It's got its wings folded up. And that's what I really like about it. The wings that you can't see because they're folded away.
Yeah.
But
it's almost like a giant like bat creature almost.
But I could definitely see this thing like roaming around being a bit nasty. Like probably want to stay away from it.
Yeah.
But I did like the impression of. I did like the way that these wings have probably been made using the technique like lift arms. Looking at it, I feel like they could fully extend. So yeah, it would be nice to see if I can find some more pictures of those fully extended.
Just click the link.
Yeah.
In the entry list document.
Oh yeah, there's an Instagram post, I guess. Oh yeah, and it has like the wings out and stuff. Yeah. There you go, Levo.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah. Well, one other entry I want to highlight is like I was kind of talking about like the entries that have like spines and stuff earlier, and one that I think does that really well is the it's entry number 99.
Oh yeah.
It's Spredaticus by Philiastax. I think is how you say that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that one is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Like it has this like very like, I don't know, like it has that like almost like skeletal kind of like a rib cage in like the middle there, and it has this like aggressive looking like jaw and stuff.
Kind of gives me Witch Doctor vibes from Herald Factory.
It does, yeah. Has like the same colors and stuff, and yeah, like it just it looks like really like fearsome and like yeah. Like you wouldn't want to like run into this thing.
You could have this thing run to entry 113 and have like that one scene from Jurassic Park 3, like recreation between the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex fight.
Yeah, like a battle.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
He's also used the Visrak like pincers, but in white towards the top to help with the arch of the spine.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I think this came in Mindstorms, was it? Something like that. But yeah, so it's nice when people use like the really rare parts of their collection and they end up with something that's like so cool. Because you know they can be proud that that rare piece was used well.
Yeah, and I like how the silver was like incorporated here too, because like wherever like the silver is, like it contrasts with like the white and like the red in this weird way where it's like it almost kind of looks like it has this like metal skeleton that's like poking out in places, like in the jaw and like the claws and everything. And yeah, like I don't know, it kind of like gives this like subtle like messaging about like, you know, like the potential like anatomy of this creature and stuff. Yeah, it's just really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all the entries I kind of want to bring to, because there's so many on here, like they're really cool. Like I could, a bit similar to 2 one, I could scroll past here all day and talk about them all because they're all really cool. But we don't want like a 3-day podcast. So I'm not sure if there's any more you guys want to point out, because I'm going to limit myself here before I keep on chatting for too long.
I know. There's like so many different like entries on here, right? There's like 58 pages in this document, 114 entries in total. So yeah, like while there are like a lot of really great mocks, I don't think we'll have time to like go through each and every one of them. But yeah, like scrolling through it now, there's just like so many cool mocks we could like highlight and stuff.
Yeah.
So for our viewers at home, I definitely implore you guys to go like check out the entry list here. I'll try to make sure to like link that in the description so you guys can go take a look for yourselves. But yeah, I mean, I think to wrap up the podcast, we can kind of give some of our final thoughts on this second DuckBricks contest. At this point, like, you know, we're kind of quite a ways into the DuckBricks contest now, and I think they've kind of, how should I put this? Like, they've kind of established themselves, like, in the community quite well at this point. They've been very, like, successful, and, like, this, like, Dinosaurs of Bota Magna contest is no different. Like, I think the fact that, like, DuckBricks is, like, going in, like, recreating, like, so many of these, like, entries here is kind of, attests to, like, how great the mocks are and, like, how creative they are and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, so I think this contest was, like, a huge success.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, if you guys have anything else you want to add, I think that's going to be all for this podcast, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so, as always, like, we'll have more, podcasts out in the future about, like, the other contests that have happened and stuff. As of right now, the Lariska contest has concluded. We're just now moving into the Red Star Zombies contest. So, we'll have podcasts out for those, going over the entries and the winners and stuff, right? Sort of like what we've done here for 2 yet. So, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And, thank you for watching.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya.
See you around.
Bye-bye.